láyé olúgbọ́n mo ké borùn méje ẹ ò máa kọ yí lórin láyé àrẹ̀sà mo ké borùn mẹ́fà ẹ ò máa kọ yí lórin láyé ìsẹ̀yìn èmi ra kókò mo ra rán mo ra sányán bàbá sọ àfọ̀lẹ́ ló lè pélé.
Hello everyone, my name is Adeyemo Adegbemiga Ganiu and I welcome you to my new Yoruba Abrahamic YouTube video. Today I want to talk about the conspiracy of inclusion of human sacrifices and ritual along with the Yoruba Isheshe traditional way of life. This is actually an overdue video because I've gotten so many mails regarding this topic. People continuously ask me that if truly Ifa tradition, like I continue to portray it in the Abrahamic text, that is actually divine, how come some of the Yoruba priests in tradition continuously to engage in the act of using human as a sacrificial lamb in rituals? So this video will basically exploit all facts relating to it, and you will understand the conspiracy, the lie, the reality behind the whole accusation. First and foremost, every act relating to the use of humans for sacrifice and rites are complete abominative practices to the Yoruba people's ancient traditional way of life, which is Ifa Eledumare. And for many, obviously, who don't know, or maybe they don't tell them, this act of human sacrificing, the act of selling one's soul, either for wealth or fame, or the use of unaliving of babies for ritual powers like it is commonly used today from within dark magic rituals. All of this started with the non-African people and not the indigenous Africans at all. And through one means or the other, those inhuman legacy did infiltrated the Yoruba people's Ifa cause. And as years further went by, some Yoruba native priests also bought into these dark knowledges and they began to practice those kind of knowledges till the thing now became a sort of degrading to the Ifa true legacy till today. For further clarification, let's even ask let's relate to what Ifa teachings even said relating to the uses of human for sacrificial lamb. The traditional corpus of Ifa details in his own context regarding to why people must completely stay away from every uses of human, either flesh, blood, or air, or stuff like that. In his own particular message, particularly from the verses of Ifa Irete Meji, which is in known context, did claim that the Almighty in heaven, did better known today as Eledumare, only accepted ritual rites and sacrifices that are done only with the use of animals like sheep, goats, and so many other things. Because by default, the Almighty truly gave human authority over the use of animal, either for eating, for healing, and whichever way you want to use it. But anything aside from the animal space, then you are on your own. Likewise, in some other random verses throughout Ifa, it may also made us to know that it is baseless for anyone regarding that is so desperately that is useless in you trying to look for wealth accumulation at all costs, even when it's not even priority in your destiny. That indeed it is only the Almighty Himself that has the sole authority to decide who should be rich, who should not be rich, who should live long, who has the stuff like that. So anyone doing sort of things without the consent of the Almighty, you are likely to meet your loop end, a kind of regret ending. And for what so many further fail to understand is that regarding those who intend to even desperately look for money or wealth through any ritual sacrificing thing or even for fame, they fail to understand that this is a cheat code. I'm just telling you the truth, and hidden truth which many don't probably know. The idea of sacrificing someone for wealth or money, they are two separate things. It is not the people you are sacrificing, let alone your loved one, that you are sacrificing for wealth, for wealth as a contribution to a deity, or should I say, for a demonic spirit that you sign your soul to. It is not what you are sacrificing to him that will be bringing you money. Forget what you watch in Hollywood movie or Nigerian Nollywood movie. Every demonic gene and entity always have the ability to even give you whatever you ask for them for free. That is what they don't tell you. They have the ability to give you money for free. A demon has the ability to provide you money for free. So if you now ask, why did they always ask someone to sacrifice their loved ones, or to even sacrifice part of what they cherished most? It's only because they always intend to have their prey committed to the evil treaty which they've signed with them. They need their prey, those who seek them. They need to remain as their handler, so that you won't go and seek for something from a demon today and become rich, and by tomorrow you go and meet God. They need you to be within, they need to keep you within their guidance, so that they can continue to govern you, to control you. And more so, for them to even ask for the what you love most, especially in human sacrificing, they know that by default, killing in human will naturally make the heaven to turn their backs against you, and by doing so, they can have you all for themselves. So it is not the people you are sacrificing that is giving you money. That is another thing they are seeking from you, which is why their demand always varies. They will just think of something they know that we have you committed to them, that you won't have a way out after they may have given you whatever you seek for. In a nutshell, Ifa divination did distance itself completely from all act of using human for sacrifices and rites, and its ancient Odufa message itself also testified to it. And this is only for those who are basically looking for truth, unbiased truth, because that is what Ifa actually stands for. But unfortunately, the very non-African who did establish modern-day world religions has also continued to be the very people who accuses Ifa divination way of life through various Abrahamic religion, by also being the very culprit that started the whole human sacrificing rituals. That is what they didn't tell you, and which has also lasted till today. And on the way of trying to do it, they also try to shift those blames on the indigenous African spiritualism, the spiritualists, particularly the Yoruba people who worship Ifa Eledumare, and obviously add those curses on the African. Let me start from the depth, from where people can really understand where I'm coming from. Like I have detailed in my past previous videos, between the mid-1800s to the late 1900s, the activities of the Western colonial missionaries across Africa did reach its peak for a fact. And what these European colonial missionaries stood for, or appear to look before the African, is far different from who they are. If you compare them to the agency that we are seeing today, you can liken them to what we call spies, the CIA intelligence, because they all came into Africa through different Europeans, like a CIA disguised as a faith bringer, who flooded Africa to reprogram the African people's faith, their traditional way of life, knowing fully well that Africans were just beginning to pick themselves off from the abolishment of slave trade trauma, which they just went through. So they didn't come to Africa to come and save Africa, and that is all written in the legacy, or in the letter, the leaked letter of, like I just said in my previous videos, like those ones of the King Leopold II II, the one they sent to the Congo people, which he basically made it known clearly that they didn't come to Africa to teach the Africans anything about righteousness or heaven, because the Africans were already people of heaven. So they came to Africa to actually destroy the African. Therefore, before the counterproductive messages of these European spies, who disguised as heaven, could be accepted by the Africans, they know that they actually needed a technique that will trick the Africans, that will lure the Africans to throw away their indigenous pride, so that they can accept the Western conspiratory messages as an alternative. Just as how issue is now being made as the scapegoat of the word symbolism of devil, of Satan in Abrahamic context. and later also being replaced by a white clown in Rome who named himself Caesar. It's true that so many historians might argue today that no, it's not the Europeans that actually substitute Eshu for Satan. That is actually a man known as the Samuel Ajayi Crowther, an historian and a bishop from Ogun State. But they also always continue to forget that the same Ajayi Crowther that they are trying to defend was actually raised, schooled, puppetized, and was decorated with a bishop title by the same Europeans who actually employ him, or should I say trained him, in order to twist the Bible messages in the view of the European lens for the Africans, particularly his own people. So in a nutshell, it was specifically the European mainstream, it was naturally expected for the European mainstream media to actually continue to demonize the African traditional way of life by default, because the more they demonize the African way of life, their tradition, the more the African continue to switch or buy into the European conspiracy or religion system. So it's a system. Let's now talk about how these human sacrificing activities even got imported and became part of the African people, particularly the Yoruba people, till today. But I will start this by trying to put it into an illustration so you will fully understand where I am coming from. Let's say I happen to be a bona fide Yoruba son who was born in the United States and whose parents or Yoruba ancestors will have generationally lived as minority group in the United States as people of community, because in America you have Latino community, from Guinea community, stuff like that. Let's just pretend that Yoruba people also has a community in America too. By default, it is expected that some major part of me will actually be of the character of the United States. My legacy, my way of life, my upbringing will be similar to much of that of the United States than the land where I originated from, than that of the Yoruba people where my ancestors even came from. And you can see a likening reference to that of the Moshe, who is actually a West African by ancestry, but whose parents actually live and dwell in North Sudan, in adjacent to Egypt. But at the end of the day, as he was growing up, he grew up in Egypt. He built a life in Egypt and everything, became a priest. A very sensitive person. At the end of the day, he was never indigenous to the land of the Egypt. That is exactly what I mean. So the reason why I put this in front is it will give you an idea of what I want to say in regards to the very Yoruba or Yashariara people who were invited back to West Africa in Exodus through migration, starting from around the 6th to 9th and the 13th centuries, because it was a gradual thing. Like I said in my previous video, the migration took different turns, but the major one are those who moved through the central part of Africa, landed through Maiduguri, and also the other group who moved through the northwest Africa. Some passes through the Mali region, which is the Timbuktu, while the other went straight down to today's Sierra Leone area. Those are the major migrations of the Oya Sheriala. So the reason why I put that in front is, but at least you guys should know that the coming of them from where they initially came from, they will be coming with certain knowledges which are naturally different to their indigenous people's knowledge. What do I mean? These people came into West Africa to reintegrate with their majority Yoruba family tribes by confederation lineage after spending years of their centuries among the majority non-Yorubas in North Africa. As it is revealed in the Lange book, Rufus, Windsor, and co. Meaning that these reverting migrants, Yoruba ethnic groups, they came from certain place known as Babylon, and they were coming from Babylon with certain knowledge, certain character, and certain way of life that are completely different to the very people they are integrating to in West Africa. And also that these revived migrant Yoruba people, that they have cultivated their natural way, they are living another life entirely. that are different from the people they are moving to reintegrate with, even though they still know or acknowledge that these people, we are of the same Yoruba, but things have gone or have changed over the years. And also that this Yoruba group, how did I know about this, to be candid? A book that was titled The Yoruba Jews of West Africa say a lot of things that people continue to overlook extensively. This book in general stated that the Yoruba Jews were differing from North Africa from oasis to oasis. That is number one, I need you to acknowledge. That they were driven from North Africa. When we are talking about North Africa collectively, it doesn't matter where maybe it's south of Northeast Africa, north of, you understand what I'm, because today's North Africa and Northeast Africa used to be just one region. Before the Suez Canal partition, there used to be Northeast Africa. It was part of North Africa. So there was nothing like a Middle East. I said that earlier. I say that often. Another thing we also need to acknowledge again, he said, according to the book, is that these people who left North Africa, they didn't find rest until they reached West Africa, which is part of the Timbuktu, during their reverse migration from North Africa to West Africa. He also stated that they were truly Yoruba Jews, that these migrants were truly Yoruba Jews, ascertaining what I'm saying, that they are truly Yoruba Jews. But when they were sighted, their ways of life were different from the indigenous Yoruba in West Africa. Why? Because where they are coming from, like he said, that they have cultivated habits of their neighboring. As in, and for you to even that they were more Yoruba, the book said they were, another book said they were known, another part of the book is saying that these people dubbed themselves as Emi Oyo Kwahim. A Yoruba word for Emi Omo Oyo Nimi is a prideful adage, a thing of identifying with the indigenous Yoruba heritage as a pride, which led to why they said it is well ascertained that Oyo people were initially in Syrian. So they were identifying that Omo Oyo Niwa, but Ile Syrian Lawa. They are identifying that they were Oyo Kwaim, they were from Oyo, because we have different of them. We have different of them. So even the book itself, so it's basically saying their way of life were not of the Torah, were not indigenous. Itoi Wasiri were never a guide. When we talk about Torah was derived from Itoi Wasiri after a clear research, which basically is a general way of saying the book of righteousness, the book that puts someone into the path of righteousness. So they said these Jews in Timbuktu, even though they identify as a Yoruba Jews, their life way were not guided. Their culture they found them doing there were not of the Torah guided life. They are not pure. Even the time the book that we talk about, like the Timbuktu to Babylon to Timbuktu, it takes just the common sense to ask, okay, people are coming from Babylon and they are going to Timbuktu. Babylon is in Northeast Africa and Timbuktu is in West Africa. What were the ancient culture of the Babylonian? What were the ancient culture of the West African? And if you compare both cultures together, they are different culture. They are different things. So it basically indicates that the Oya Shirola that were coming from Babylon, that were coming from the Assyrian region, that were coming from Northeast Africa and North Africa collectively, they were bringing so many unrighteous knowledge. Not that because they are 40, it's because that is where they've been as minority, who as a neighbor to those people of North Africa. They were the one who imported those knowledge and brought it down to West Africa. And those knowledge happens to be some of the things that heaven disdain, or should I say heaven distance is sent from, which something like a ritual sacrificing. If you want to know that the Babylon were the one who taught these migrants the knowledges, just think about what Babylon basically means today. Like I continue to preach, ancient Babylonians were the Caucasian people by default. not all of them. And the modern Babylonians are the west, the west of today's modern time, the Western world, also by default. And likewise, why the word Babylonian can alternatively be dubbed as Babel. And Babel basically means chaos, literally means chaotic people, chaotic land of disorderliness. This is why you can see it in Revelation 8 verse 2 in the Bible aspect, and Baqarah 2 verse 102, whereby those books collectively as Abraham book, they describe what the Babylonian people are like, where the Babylon was naturally described as people who are anti-heaven. They don't care about heaven. They don't care about natural order. They just live godless. Do thy wit. Do whatever you feel like doing. That is the anthem of Babylon. This is why they call them people of chaos. They are not guided, and also dubbed as the nations of Satans. The biblical text dubbed them as Satans, while the Abrahamic text even called them as the Shaitans or the devils. The devils or the Satans are not something like you see in Hollywood. They are same humans like you and me, whose natural way of life is completely out of this world, very abnormal. Their orientation, their gender, that is what devil means. So the hierarchy is demonic. Those demonic can be ascribed to those witches. They are human beings, but they've entertained more dark knowledges. They are very blunt in nature. They can sack. This is exactly so it has nothing to do with anything spiritually, invisibility, stuff like that. And as well as these Babylonians are people of lost soul. They are lost soul. To be lost means you've sold your soul to the devil. You've bargained your soul for loss. You've bargained your soul for power. You've bargained your soul for witchcraft. You've bargained your soul for fame, for wealth. They are lost souls, and they are nation who enjoy in fornication and try to attract different innocent nations to come and take part in the abominative practices they are doing. So Babylon where the whole thing of human sacrifices came from, and the ritual thing, and it is still practiced today. And after it got to Yoruba land, the knowledge through those reverse migrants, got inputted to the tradition, got infused into Ifa traditional teachings, even though Ifa still remains stand out as a divine guide. But today is harder for someone who don't understand the legacy of Ifa to actually differentiate it, because bad people are doing it and they are covering their ill practices with the umbrella of Ifa today. For further reality, for you to understand better, the very way that the Babylonian toxic practices of human sacrifice infiltrated Ifa legacy can also be likened to the very way of which the same Ifa has also got infiltrated out of West Africa under a new religion term known as Santeria today. The word Santeria, the basically foundation of Santeria was based on two things: Ifa tradition and also Catholicism. Because I see so many people of traditionalists today who continuously get carried away. They will tell you that Santeria is a good thing. I'm not here to say Santeria is a bad thing or is good, but you need to look at it from a deeper perspective. Santeria has put so many things have been attributed to Ifa, which is not supposed to, because you are talking about Catholicism that has not been coined around the legacy of Ifa, which made it a new religion as Santeria. But we fail to go deeper to ask, what does Catholicism mean? Who founded Catholicism? Of course, the Vatican. Who are the Vatican? The same people which Abrahamic people are still referring to as the devils. The same people which the Abrahamic context of the Bible are still referring to as the Satans, who are claiming to be Jews but are not Jews. The same people who founded Catholicism are the people who destroyed the initial people of the book, impersonated their lifestyle, their origin. These are the ones who founded Catholicism. So to now still use what those anti-divine people establish and still coin it around Ifa to make it a new religion, that means you are still passing the truth. This is why in my own cases, I continue to say, if you want to understand or learn through Ifa, you have to do away with everything people are coining around Ifa today. And better still, go to the source, to the people who understand it, which are in this Yoruba land where the whole thing started from, and do away. Because till today, you'll be seeing witches, dark witches, claiming that they are into Ifa. Have you ever seen an Onifa putting on black cloth? They're always on white cloth, and that is a symbol of their spiritualism. So in outside Africa, you see a Santeria people practicing witchcrafting. You'll be calling Ifa. You see someone doing sort of thing that Ifa even debunk. They will be hiding under the legacy of Ifa. So this has what got to the mainstream, and many people don't seem to even be able to differentiate between why Ifa is being said as a divine thing, but people who are doing it outside Africa are doing something else, which are non-divine. So it has always been, this is why I'm saying you have to pick the truth. Now, if you ask me that is Ifa divine, yes, I will continue to say it, because if Ifa is actually not divine, Abrahamic Orisha, which are prophets, won't even go into it. And these are practices that are brought it over the years. As people continue to learn more dark mystics magic, they continue to hide under the umbrella of Ifa. And this has all derail people from the reality of what Ifa stands for, or the true legacy of Ifa. So Ifa have nothing to do with ritual practicing, the human sacrificing, everything. As a matter of fact, if you truly want to know about Ifa, go to the people who understood it. They will teach you all the real learnings, not those outside Africa, because outside Africa, it has been politicalized in most cases, and many lies have been coined around the legacy of Ifa. I will see you in my next video. I hope I've answered so many questions. I will see you in my next video. Make your comment known below respectively. Turn up the notification bell in case I upload new video. Please don't just watch my video without liking it. It helps me a lot. It helps my YouTube channel to grow. My books are out. My email is there in case you need more information or discussion. I take my time. If you want my books are out there. For international people who wants to buy my book that haven't done anything, you can use LEMFI app to purchase it. Is a free app from your Play Store, because international subscriber contacted me and said no, they are not sure of how to pay me for the book. This is why they haven't got the book. So you can use LEMFI, LEMFA application in the Play Store or something. You can use it to send money to Nigeria, anything, and follow the way. I will send the book to you directly, and those who are in Nigeria, help me purchase it and stuff like that. If you can't purchase, you can at least support me. I will appreciate all forms of support. Thank you for being there with me and growing this YouTube channel along. I will see you in my next video, everyone. Thank you and bye for now.